From the Gates Gymnasium inside the Whitecamp Center on the campus of Bethel University, Bethel Pilots basketball is on the air. Tonight, it's the Goshen Maple Leafs and the Bethel Pilots for the US 20 Highway Cup. And how you doing, everybody? Alongside Angelo DiCarlo, Chuck Freeby, great to have you with us for Crossroads League basketball on TV 46. Pilots hurting a little bit after Wednesday night's loss to the Grace Lancers. Grace staying perfect on the year. It's such a huge rivalry, Ange. How does Steve Draben's team bounce back from that?
I mean, the positive is obviously the fact that they were up big, double digits on the #1 team in the country. The negative is you let it slip away. But again, the positive is you now know you can play with any team in the country. They're going to see Grace again in the regular season. They'll probably see him in the Crossroads League tournament. They may see him in the national tournament. So they know right now they have a team that is capable of doing big things based on the way they played against Grace on Wednesday.
Today, another familiar local foe, Goshen and Bethel for the 119th time. The Leafs are struggling this year. In fact, they haven't won a game so far this season. Kyle Camp's first year at the helm, but they do have a number of local players, including a South Bend Washington product.
Yeah, they start 3 freshmen, including Marcus Northern, who did great things at Washington a year ago, especially leading them to a deep playoff run. He's averaging 12 points per game as a freshman at 6'5". So great to see him having a great rookie campaign with Goshen. And they're hoping they're going to start young and build this thing up. And what better way for them if they could get a big win here today.
Bethel is 15-4, still jockeying position not only for the Crossroads League tournament, but the NAIA National Tournament. And Steve Draben's team relies heavily on a guy by the name of Drew Lutz.
They got local guys themselves, and the Penn High grad is unbelievable. Second in the nation in scoring at 25.7 points per game, 2,000 career points. What can't he do? Drew Lutz does everything, and he's been outstanding, and he really embodies the spirit that is a Bethel basketball player.
The Pilots looking for their 90th all-time win over the Goshen Maple Leafs. We've got the starting lineups and opening tip-off coming your way next from the Whitecamp Center. You're watching Bethel Pilots basketball on TV 46. Back in the Princess City as we get you ready for Goshen and Bethel. They're ready to introduce the starting lineups here at the Gates Gymnasium. Here's Angelo DiCarlo.
Carson Jenks is a 6'3" sophomore guard leading the way for Goshen, averages 17.5 points per game. Judas Mvukwe is a 6'1" sophomore guard, Warsaw product, 11.3 points per game, leads the team in assists. Josh Simlian is a 6'3" freshman, 8.3 points per game. Marcus Northern, 6'5" freshman, averaging 11.8 points per game out of South Bend, Washington. And Kevin Coda, a 6'6" freshman, averaging 5.5 points and 4 rebounds per game. For Bethel, Drew Lutz, 6'1" senior, Penn alum, 25.7 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 4.1 assists per game. James Anderson is a 6'8" senior, 10.3 points and 6.2 rebounds per game. Nathan Ertz, a 6'6" senior from Valpo, 11.1 points, 4.7 rebounds per game, recently became a 1,000-point college scorer. Trent Edwards, a 6'4" senior guard out of Northwood, 6.7 points per game. And Preston Phillips, a 6'8" graduate student forward, Jimtown grad who transferred over from Evansville, 13.2 points and 6.9 rebounds per game.
This is the 119th meeting between the Pilots and the Maple Leafs in a series that dates back to 1960. Bethel leads the all-time series by a wide margin, 89-29. They have won 12 straight from the Leafs, including November 18th here in the regular season when they beat them by 15, 83-68. The officials for this one today, Darren Munn working with Les O'Connor Jr. and Kevin Smith, and we're just about ready to jump it up. Glad you joined us for Crossroads League action. Bethel 15-4 overall, 6-3 in conference play, and the Goshen Maple Leafs 0-19 on the year and 0-9 in league play. Goshen in the purple, Bethel in the gray. Kevin Coda will jump it up for the Leafs. And he'll be going up against Preston Phillips for Bethel. Phillips wins the opening tip. Trent Edwards handles things. Nathan Ertz, the Valparaiso product, and Pilots setting up against a switching man-to-man defense of Goshen. Inside it goes to James Anderson, and the big fella from Cincinnati misses, but it's tipped up and in by Nathan Ertz. And Ertz, over the years, has been a force on the offensive glass.
And right there, you see the size advantage that Bethel has in this game, and the fact that they have 3 big guys overall on the inside that can be the presence, and they get that with the offensive rebound and the putback.
Warsaw's Judison Fuqua handles things up top against the double team. There's Marcus Northern out of South Bend, Washington. Simfuqua drives the baseline. Back outside to Northern. His little teardrop is home. That's a shot we saw him take a lot for Ryan Varga at Washington.
Indeed, and it's worked out well for him over the years and continuing now in the college game.
Anderson trying to back down Cota and took him right to the basket. James Anderson, the big fella out of Cincinnati, 6'8" senior, transfer from the University of St. Francis. As the game goes on, we'll tell you the marvelous story of how Anderson matriculated to Bethel University. Carson Jenkins left it off for Judison Fuqua, but he couldn't hit the layup. Pilots come the other way with Drew Lutz. Lutz for 3, bringing it up.
Might be the first time all game so far that Lutz had touched the basketball, and immediately showing his presence and why he is a 2,000-point career scorer.
Jenkins at the other end misfires. Edwards with the carom. For Lutz, that was his 42nd three-pointer of the season. Pilots off to a quick 5-point lead. Ertz tried to cut, but he was well guarded. Simfuqua comes the other way from the Maple Leafs. Northern deep 3. Oh, a friendly shooter's bounce for Marcus Northern. Got the hometown discount there. He's got all 5 for Goshen. Nathan Ertz, now Trent Edwards. Phillips tried to lob it for Anderson, not a good pass. Cota knocked it away. Here comes Jenkins the other way. Pull up 3, that's money. And the Leafs come roaring back with 6 in a row to grab an 8-7 lead.
Steve Draben wondered, he wanted his guys to come out firing at all cylinders out of the gate, but he worried about coming off the layoff of the Grace game, whether or not they'd be able to do that. And Lutz now able to settle things down here with the bucket.
As the veteran has been known to do over his time. Josh Similin, number 10. This is Carson Jenkins, young man out of Fort Wayne, trying to spin down Preston Phillips. And Lutz was able to knock that pass out of bounds. Goshen will go to the bench early on here as Jared Bonds and Isaac Miller check in. And Bethel will go to the bench as well as Jameer Jefferson, number 2, comes in. Right now he's guarding Judison Fuqua. Shot clock violation here on Goshen. They were not aware of the clock. You could see it on the right-hand corner of the Pilot scoreboard. And Bethel will go to its bench again as Clay Hilliard, the young man out of Plymouth High School, checks in to take the place of Nathan Ertz. Hilliard is a guy that transferred from Mount Vernon, Angelo, and only playing 10 games so far this season because there were eligibility issues with his classes on the transfer from Mount Vernon.
Yeah, it was just a matter of credits not transferring properly. It wasn't so much about the academic issue. It was just that the credits didn't transfer properly. They had to get that in order, and now he's ready to play. And now averaging 10.7 points per game. He's been a fine addition in the second half of the season.
Anderson makes the catch. Didn't score, but that's offensive basket interference. Jameer Jefferson trying to say, no, it was off the rim, and did not get the agreement. You'll see it again here on the Pilot replay, and watch as this ball's coming off the iron. It's still up there at enough of an angle. Jenkins tries to drive with the left hand. Phillips defended him well. Jenkins again tries the dribble drive. Now some Fuquay to the baseline. It's knocked away. Northern, before the shot clock expires, has it rim out. And Jameer Jefferson with a rebound. Here come the Pilots on the run. Hilliard for three. Ring it up. Clay Hilliard buries his 26th three-pointer of the season. Bethel puts the lead back up to 4. Jenkins, the leading scorer on this Goshen team at 17.5 points per game. Here's a drive by Bonds, and Jenkins will let one loose, but it's off the iron, and it'll go out of bounds to Bethel as we get our first break. 15:02 to go here in the first half. You're watching Bethel Pilot basketball on TV 46. So Bethel with a 12-8 lead here. We're back at the White Camp Center. Pilots shooting the ball rather well. Hilliard with another topside triple. And Bethel is 3 out of 3 from three-point range.
Well, if you're a little sluggish out of the gate, suddenly you drop a couple trays and you're feeling pretty good about yourself.
And now as we get the timeout, we'll keep it right here with 14:34 to go in the first half. Gives us a chance to show you before the game, Drew Lutz, the outstanding Bethel guard, was honored by his head coach Steve Draben and athletic director Tony Natale for 2 accomplishments.
Yeah, not just 1,000 career points at Bethel, but also 2,000 career points. He spent his first 3 years at Incarnate Word, a Division I school, and then transferred up to Bethel. Has done an outstanding job, and to get both of those accomplishments this year, what a career it's been for Drew Lutz, and he's hoping to have a great end to that career here in the second half of his last season here with the Pilots.
He's had some tremendous games this year. He scored 41 against Oregon Tech, had 38 the other night against Spring Arbor. And he, as good a basketball player as he is, and he's a very good basketball player. You had a chance to talk with him yesterday. He's just a terrific young man.
Absolutely, and faith is a big component at Bethel. It's a big component with Drew Lutz as well. He's a young man who really has grown in his faith. He has said even more so by being at Bethel. He's the type of student athlete you want at Bethel, not just because he's second in the nation in scoring, but because his faith is contagious. The way he leads is contagious for all the people around him as well. You see the crosses on his left arm right there, the tattoos as well. Faith is so important to him, and it's so important to this institution overall. So it is great to have that kind of person leading your way.
And you mentioned the fact he's second in the nation in scoring, about a point behind Stephen Clark from Southwestern. So a 15-8 Pilots lead. As play resumes, Bethel has been on fire from outside the arc early on in this one. We'll see if that can continue. Nathan Ertz trying to back his man down, but they left Lutz open. He made a fancy dribble, and now Hilliard will take a 3, and that's way off the mark. It looked like it came off the heel of his hand.
I got to be honest, I don't think I've ever seen that dribble that Drew Lutz just did. So that was impressive, to say the least.
Necessity is the mother of invention, they say, as you take a look at Steve Draben in his 5th season here with the Pilots, a record of 93-47. He's a graduate of LaPorte High School and then went to Belmont, and he was there as an assistant coach before coming here to Bethel. Jared Bonds, and now Carson Jenkins. There's DJ Bryant in the game now, but it's Jenkins driving and hitting. Jenkins with 5. He's a transfer from Barry University down in Georgia. Had a terrific career at Fort Wayne Snyder, where he scored over 1,300 points for the Panthers.
Interesting part about Jenkins, while he leads the team in scoring at 17.5 a game, only his 8th start of the season here this afternoon.
Working inside, and Jameer Jefferson is fouled on the way up by Jared Bonds. The first on Bonds, and it'll send Jefferson to the line, but that is not exactly where Jameer Jefferson likes to be. He is only a 21% free throw shooter on the year. Young man out of Memphis, Tennessee. And unfortunately, he lived up to billing there. Jefferson started his career at Trinity International. Has been a very good passer, though, this year. 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio.
Announcer jinx, Chuck. You got him all the way up to 50% there. It's the reverse
that
factor.
trip, yeah. 16-10 Pilots. Northern falls down, but he was getting some help to do that. And it was from Mr. Jefferson, who's called for his first.
Fairly clean game so far. Bethel with 2 early turnovers. Goshen just with 1.
DJ Bryant, now Marcus Northern. Here's Isaac Miller trying to penetrate, has to kick it back outside. This is a very young Goshen team. Northern's pass deflected out of bounds. You looked at their starting lineup today, they started 3 freshmen and 2 sophomores.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you don't want to be 0-19, but when you're a first-year head coach, if you're starting young, you're hoping that's what's going to build things for your program, and they got a lot of talent on the younger side, and that's what they're hoping to have here as they just avoid the turnover.
Miller with a half-court heave that at least drew iron to beat the shot clock. And here's Jefferson coming the other way for Bethel. Lutz. Now Jefferson working from the wing. Lutz with the drive, but he was thwarted at the 10. Foul called, though, on Goshen.
And this is the place you don't want to send Drew Lutz, to the free throw line, where he has hit more free throws than any player in the entire country so far this year. So Drew Lutz headed to the charity stripe to improve on that effort, where he's just been electric at 88%.
The senior out of Penn High School scoring 25.7 per game. That's his 6th in this contest. The southpaw delivers. And both teams will go to the bench. Bethel sending in Luke McBride, and Goshen has Judas Mfukwe coming in. McBride, a freshman on this squad, averaging 6.5 points a game out of Norwell High School.
Steve Draven, 10 of his 14 players from the state of Indiana, so that's a big focus for him, is to have the local talent and to have the state of Indiana, which he just feels is so strong, as we all know, right? Littered with talent, and that's his base. And when he got here 5 years ago, only had 4 players on the roster, and had to really build the team back up, and started with the state of Indiana.
Very similar to the way Micah Shrewsbury is doing things over at Notre Dame. Here's a drive by Jefferson, but his shot is errant. Mfukwe got the rebound and literally kicks it ahead to Carson Jenkins. DJ Bryant with an open look. The iron unkind, and the rebound to Jefferson. Clay Hilliard handling things and getting it over to Luke McBride. Open look for Nathan Ertz. And the three-point barrage continues for the Pilots.
They've been outstanding from beyond the arc, and now suddenly the lead up to 11.
It's a 15-3 run for Bethel. Bryant inside the arc buries that one. The 5'9" junior, averaging a little less than 5 points a game, comes to Goshen out of Mott Community College. Grew up in the Motor City. Nice pass from Jefferson down low, but a little Ike Ume couldn't handle the body. He kind of got a little nudge there, not enough for it to be called.
Number of changes coming in now for Bethel, as Phillips, Anderson, and Trent Edwards all checking back into the game for the Pilots.
Goshen trying to count how many players they have on the floor right now. And it's Mfukwe and Northern, the local backcourt, bringing it up here for the Leafs.
Northern had a quick breather there, and now back into the game.
Northern. Jared Bonds now trying to go to work on James Anderson. 3 in the corner for Isaac Miller goes awry, and the rebound to Nathan Ertz. Ertz finds the cutting Preston Phillips, and the foul called on Bonds is his second. Phillips, the young man out of Jimtown High School, will go to the line where he's a 70% free throw shooter. You get another look on the Pilot replay.
Averages 13 points and 7 rebounds per game. Leads the team in block shots as well. He's a late addition in the summer to join Bethel, and he's been a welcome addition. For a while, they didn't think they'd have a big man, and they ended up with 2 big guys by the end of the summer.
Yeah, you think of when basketball recruiting usually happens, and typically you're done by the time your actual season ends. Well, that wasn't the case for Steve Draben. He didn't get his 2 big men, Phillips and Anderson, until late in July. And he thought he was going to have a much different composition of his team. Now with Phillips and Anderson, they can do a lot more in the post. Northern with a wild shot, but somewhat altered by the presence of those big men.
Well, they may have been one of the smaller teams in the Crossroads League, and now they are one of the biggest.
Anderson with a wild shot that goes awry. Here's Northern starting the break for Goshen. Look at Simfukwe with the spin and a whistle, and we've got a foul called against Bethel. It'll be on Nathan Ertz, his first. Another look from the Pilot replay, and he hooked the arm of Simfukwe going through. And we have a timeout on the floor. 9:52 to go in the first half. Bethel out to a comfortable 22-12 lead. You're watching Pilots basketball on 46. .52 to go first half. Bethel up 22-12. Here are your Crossroads League standings entering play today. But it's going to get real wild in the next week. Look at that team in the number 2 position, Indiana Wesleyan. They play host to Grace on Wednesday, and then we'll see the Wildcats in Bethel here next Saturday on TV 46.
Yeah, and Bethel and Grace will play again yet in the regular season, so there's a lot of season left to play here in the Crossroads League. Bethel a little bit behind with 3 losses, but they can certainly work themselves way back into that chase for the top spot, depending on what they can do here coming up in the second half of the season.
Yeah, it's interesting, too. Steve Draben was talking about hoping his team could shake off the hangover from the Grace game. Seemed like he still needed to as well when we talked to him before the game today, because he was still lamenting some of the things that happened to his team Wednesday night as Isaac Miller is short on the 3. Ertz coming the other way to key the Bethel break. Trent Edwards with a little Euro step for 2.
Beautiful play there by Trent Edwards for his first points of the evening, as now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different Bethel players that have scored in this game.
And they're doubling up the Maple Leafs right now. DJ Bryant with the left hand tried to drive. Coda trying to post up on Preston Phillips. That left Miller open in the corner for 3, and he makes him pay. The redshirt junior out of Charleston, Illinois, who started his collegiate career at Eastern Illinois, gets on the scoreboard for the first time today. Ertz put it down low. Edwards up top. Shot clock at 8. Edwards spinning, winning. 4 for the Northwood product, who has really become much more of a vocal leader on this team. And quite frankly, when I saw him in high school, he wasn't that vocal of a kid either. He has really come out of his shell here at BU.
Another way that Bethel helps kids mature from maybe kids into young men, and certainly you're seeing that in Trent Edwards, another great example of the type of person that grows up in the Bethel program and at this university.
Northern lost the handle at the other end, but good transition defense by the Maple Leafs force the Pilots into a half-court set, which Nathan Ertz does not mind at all. He has passed Ryan Bales for 17th place on the all-time Bethel scoring list. And he's got Von Gilbert, the former Clay star, in his sights at number 16. He just needs 4 more. Miller with a spinorama. The left is short, and the rebound to Edwards. Here come the Pilots with 7.5 to go in the first half. Ertz for 3, yes sir. Well, that just tied him with Von Gilbert.
Quickly gets to 10 now out of nowhere, and suddenly a 16-point lead here for Bethel.
That's the thing. Ertz is one of those players that has been forgotten about a little bit with all the attention that goes to Drew Lutz. And Ertz, a young man out of Valparaiso High School, has well over 1,000 points in his Pilot career as well. McBride needs some help. And there's Ertz working over Cota. Tried to get a cut there from now Preston Phillips outside. Phillips driving, scoring. A lot of contact, and finally a foul is called. Man, that was well after the bucket.
Take a look at the replay, and Phillips gets it. They'll say the basket is good, and he'll now go to the line to try to complete the three-point play, as now a bunch of changes for both teams, highlighted by Drew Lutz coming back into the game for Bethel. By the way, let me say this. If you're someone watching at home right now, you're a big high school fan, you've never been out to a Bethel game. It's an intimate atmosphere here at Bethel. You're very close to the action. And these are really, really talented basketball players.
Oh,
it
yeah.
is a great place to come watch great basketball. So if you've never been to a game, maybe come on out for that Indiana Wesleyan. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere for that game. So this is a great time to come out and watch this team play.
And there will be D1 level talent on the floor. Andrew Hedrick got a West Noble with the steal. Jameer Jefferson and one.
Wow. Going up the high glass, and look at that smile. We'll look at it again, and you'll see why. He's smiling big.
Mr. Jefferson was moving on up. And here's James Anderson checking back in for Preston Phillips.
By the way, talk about great players, and then the size. James Anderson walking right in front of me. I think there's about 4 of me to get to his size.
Jefferson, 1 of 2 at the stripe today. Got that one to go. That free throw percentage keeps going up for Jameer. 21-point lead now for Bethel with 6 minutes left first half.
See, you always give the announcer jinx on the free throws. In this case, it's working to the benefit. Jinxes aren't always bad. It just, usually it is.
Northern thought about the 3, and he who hesitates is lost. He lost that opportunity. Carson Jenkins with a nice drive on Hedrick, and he's fouled on the way up, and he'll go to the line for 2. First foul on Andrew Hedrick. And Carson Jenkins, a 66% free throw shooter, goes to the line. He was a second-team All-State high school player at Fort Wayne Snyder. 6'3" sophomore, averaging 17.5 a game.
He has scored 1,325 points in his high school career, now leading the team in steals and in points as well. And as I mentioned earlier, interesting the fact that he leads the team in scoring, and yet only his 8th start of the season.
A 21-point Pilot lead here. Lob down low, and a little push-off call on James Anderson. That's how you get open sometimes. Clay Hilliard going to check back in here for Bethel. And he'll take the place of Hedrick. That would be another nice piece that Steve Draven can add if he can get some more minutes out of a guy like Andrew Hedrick and add some depth here as the season goes along. Because once you get into tournament time, you sometimes need a little bit deeper bench with foul situations.
Well, and he likes the talent there, and he believes that Andrews going to be a really good player for them down the road. Whoa!
Jefferson erasing a Judas Nfukwe shot. Lutz races the other way. Hilliard on the drive, had it stripped away, but got it back. Lutz with the left. He's got 9 and a timeout called by Goshen. 4:56 to go in the first half. Bethel in command by 23 on 46. The men's game, the second game of the doubleheader between Goshen and Bethel. The women played earlier. Let's show you some highlights of what happened in that one. As Maya Shelton had 11 points for Bethel this afternoon, raining home a 3 right there. Sophia Eli would come back with a fast break bucket here for the Leafs, as this was a nip and tuck battle throughout. Abby Williams was strong on the interior. The bank was open on a Saturday. Kyla Foster, though, would answer with a pretty layup here for Goshen College. Bethel would need some big buckets down the stretch. Faith Davis supplied one of them, and Williams would supply another. As the Pilots hang on for their 6th win of the season, they knock off the Leafs today by a final score of 55-53. And many members of the Bethel women's team hanging around here to watch the men play Goshen in this one. 4:56 to go first half, and Bethel well in command of this one with a 38-15 lead. We mentioned the similarities between the way Steve Draben is doing his program and Micah Shrewsbury at Notre Dame. Remember, Steve is like in his 4th year here now at Bethel. Kyle Capps in his 1st year at Goshen. He is taking somewhat of that same path with this young team as well, as you see Jared Bonds launch a 3. In the fact we mentioned earlier, starting 3 freshmen and 2 sophomores. And if you look at what Shrewsbury's doing at Notre Dame, he's playing a lot of freshmen too. You're going to take your lumps when that happens, and that has been the case for this Goshen team throughout the season.
And the other thing is, all 3 of those schools that you mentioned, all using local talent, right?
Right.
Caps certainly got Simfukwe and Marcus Northern in the mix. Certainly at Notre Dame, we know about Marcus Burton and J.R. Knesny, and littering it with the Indiana players and Michiana players are the Bethel Pilots. But that's a theme here in the Crossroads League. We know a lot of the other teams. Grace as well has a lot of Indiana players on their roster as well. Something that's very important to these squads here in the NAIA.
Carson Jenkins with a 2 that time. Foot was on the stripe. He has 7 today to lead Goshen. James Anderson, oh, what a pretty move. Big fella out of Ohio now has 4.
He's got great size, but great athleticism. He's light-footed and able to move so quickly in the paint.
Moving screen called on Carson Jenkins. Talking to his coach, Kyle Capps, about how he didn't do anything wrong, and Kyle says, yes, you did.
Part of the learning example, right? And I imagine it can't be easy for the players for Goshen to be 0-19 on the year. You're not looking ahead to say, hey, this is going to be, we could be in a good place in 2 to 3 years. That's hard for a young player to do, but they're getting to play right away, and if they all stick together in a couple of years, this could be a pretty good and a tough opponent in the Crossroads League.
But in the meantime, you got big bodies like James Anderson you have to contend with. Anderson is a kid out of Ohio. I say a kid compared to us, he is. Who was actually discovered by Steve Draben while he was coaching AAU ball this summer. Draben looks over at the coach and kind of recognizes him from his time at St. Francis. So they strike up a conversation, as you see the lay-in by Kevin Cota here. And Anderson tells him, yeah, I might still try to play. He goes, that ship may have sailed, but I feel like I can give it one last go. And at the time, well, Steve didn't have a big man down low like that to go play. Well, within the week, he wound up with both Preston Phillips and James Anderson.
What a luxury of riches, as you see why it's so great to have a player like James Anderson inside with the athleticism and the bucket and the foul, and now a chance to get his 9th point of the game at the free throw line.
And as you noted, when he walked by here, when he was checking into the game, he's not a small figure. He wears a size 16 shoe.
He's a big guy. Let's put it that way. And like I said, he moves very well. He is a fantastic addition to this Bethel squad. Something that Steve Draven was really pleased about when he was talking to us pregame about what they are getting from James Anderson this year.
Northern misfires on a 3. Here comes Clay Hilliard the other way. Hilliard had a terrific high school career at Plymouth. Here's the pull-up jumper by Clay, but it's off the mark. Isaac Miller for Goshen coming the other way. Lutz tried to disrupt the pass. Nice little drive by DJ Bryant, and he is able to knock it down.
The one nice thing that I love about Crossroads League basketball is, yeah, right now it's a 23-point first half lead for Bethel. It's not much of a game at the moment. But again, the talent on the floor is so entertaining that it is an enjoyable watch regardless of what the score is, and that's what you're getting to see. You're getting to see some really high-end players from throughout the state play right now.
And we've done enough of these games where you can see leads evaporate in a hurry.
That's also
at this
true.
level. A team all of a sudden gets hot from three-point range, and 23 can get whittled down, so the Pilots have to continue to defend well, which they've been doing today. Cota trying to go up against Anderson, and he'll have none of it. Thank you very much.
James Anderson making us look real smart in the way we've promoted him in this first half.
McBride with the bucket and the bump. How about that from the freshman? The two-time All-Stater at Norwell High School, but get another look at the defensive effort by Anderson.
Whew. He got all ball there, and obviously such a well done job there by James Anderson, because that could easily be a foul, right? That all it takes is a little bit, but he just went up and just got it.
McBride, the 81% foul shooter, hits, and a timeout taken by Bethel. We'll take it as well. 1:18 to go here in the first half, and Bethel leads at 47-21 on 46. It's college basketball tonight on TV 46, but next Friday night we return to the high school ranks with the IHSA girls sectional semifinal for Northridge. It'll either be the home Northridge Raiders or Warsaw. Those two teams play Tuesday night, and the winner of that game will take on Elkhart. We'll have it for you Friday night at 11, Saturday morning at 9 on your home for high school sports, TV 46.
Mark it out!
Goshen with the ball, and Jared Bonds tries to work against Anderson and kicks it back outside. Anderson, I think, sent a message with that last defensive possession, so Isaac Miller uncorks a shot. He felt like he was fouled. He was not, and it goes out of bounds.
Goshen didn't have a player within 10 feet of James Anderson. They're just trying to stay away and maybe go for an outside shot, and that strategy not working either there on that possession.
Meanwhile, the Pilots trying to stay on pace for 100 tonight. Hilliard guarded by Marcus Northern. And he'll take Marcus inside, missed the shot, and the rebound tipped out to Bryant. About a 4-second difference between the shot clock and game clock. Bonds to Northern for 3. It's off the iron, and Bethel will hold for 1. Drew Lutz with 9 points here in the first half. Trying to go to work on Josh Samillan. See the clock. Lutz does too, but his three-pointer is off the mark. And the first half has come to an end here at the Y-Camp Center. A strong first half for the Bethel Pilots, who had 10 points from Nathan Ertz, 9 from Drew Lutz, and 8 from James Anderson, on the way to a 47-21 lead over Goshen. Stick around. We'll hear from Bethel Athletic Director Tony Natale as he chats with Anj when we come back. You're watching the Pilots on 46.
We are at halftime of Bethel and Goshen men's basketball, and we are joined now by the athletic director of the Bethel Pilots, Tony Natale. Tony, obviously a very exciting time. Men's basketball always a big, big deal for Bethel, but the fall sports that you guys had, I'm going to put you on the spot, and you got to tell me, what was the most successful fall sport? Because it was a litany.
It was a great fall for us. We had an amazing fall all the way around. We had 2 NCCA national championships. Our women's soccer team, our women's golf team both had national championships. Our men's soccer team made it to the Elite 8 in the NAI, and our women's volleyball team went to the NAI. So we just had a great, great fall.
When you have a fall like that, how much energy does that build for the entire athletic department?
Oh, it does a lot. We have 500 plus student athletes in our department now. Most we've had, and they're so excited about everything. The game the other night, there wasn't an empty seat. So it just carries over into all the sports, and our culture that we've developed has a lot of cross between all the sports, so they really represent each other.
Tell us a little bit about that culture and what you've established in your 5 years as athletic director. And really, I'm sure a lot of it comes over your 26 years here at Bethel overall.
Yeah, I've been here for a while, so the coaching's really kind of helped me in that area. But I really emphasize a couple things. It's all about student-athlete experience, and we want to make sure that we do a great job for our kids. I tell our coaches all the time, I love them, but it's not about them. It's about our kids, and we really want to give them the best experience we possibly can. We want to be Christ-centered in all we do, and it makes that an important part of our daily routine every day. But we want to make sure we have that cross-representation between all of our sports. It's not just about men's basketball or just about men's soccer or women's soccer. It's a whole department, so we really, really thrive on that.
You've been here 26 years, as I mentioned, wearing many hats. You're the track coach, you're an assistant boys basketball coach, and now as the athletic director. What has kept you at Bethel for so long?
It's just a special place. I mean, the people here make it everything. Dr. Barb Belfi, our president, does a phenomenal job. Our whole administration does a great job. Our board is fantastic. It's just a special place to be. And the thing that really gets me going every day, like I said, is our student athletes. I mean, it is all about the kids. We have tremendous kids here. I know there's a lot of talk out there today about young folks and all that kind of thing, but I'm really blessed. The kids I deal with all the time, they are phenomenal. So that's what keeps me going.
Your very first coaching hire for men's basketball coach Steve Draben. Why was he the right guy for the job, and how has he proven that to you over the last 5 years?
It was tough. We had a lot of really good candidates and just prayed through that. We really prayed for some separation, and when Steve interviewed, there was separation. Not only did he naturally know basketball, the knowledge, but he was very, very centered spiritually. Christ was huge to him, and he was calm, he was relaxed, which is better than I was when I was coaching, because I was pretty intense. But he did a great job in all those areas. I knew he'd represent us well, and he's just now really getting going with the kind of team that he really, really wants with his culture as well. And a lot of Indiana kids here now, and we're excited about the direction we're heading, that's for sure.
Tony, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's Tony Natale, the athletic director here for the Bethel Pilots. We'll have first half stats and highlights right after this as you are watching Bethel men's basketball on TV 46.
All Bethel in the first half here at the Whitecamp Center as the Pilots have a 47-21 lead on Goshen. As we join you here at the intermission, Chuck Freeby and Angelo DiCarlo courtside. Another strong performance by Steve Draben's team.
Yeah, we wondered how they would bounce back after the tough loss to Grace on Wednesday night, and maybe the first 2-3 minutes weren't what maybe Steve Draben want. The last 16, 17 minutes of the first half, I think he probably liked a lot.
Let's show you how it got to be this way at the Gates Gymnasium today on Mike Lightfoot Court. James Anderson, the big fellow, working inside for the opening bucket for the Pilots, but Marcus Northern hit a little teardrop here. Northern wound up with a strong 5-point performance in the first half. Drew Lutz, 3 of his 9. That helped Bethel get off to a 5-point lead, but Carson Jenkins, when he reined in that 3, Goshen actually had the lead. It was short-lived. Clay Hilliard, a 3 off the bench. Nathan Ertz would add a topside triple as well. He led all scorers with 10 points in the first half. Isaiah Miller, or Isaac Miller, I should say, tried to answer with a corner 3 for the Leafs, but man, Bethel's got it cooking today. Trent Edwards with a spinner right there. Terrific defense from Andrew Hedrick, and he got it ahead to Jameer Jefferson for the electrifying play of the first half. as he got the bucket and the bump right there. And then Anderson with 2 more of his 8. And the numbers, as dominant as it looked on the court, they look that way on the stat sheet as well.
Bethel shooting 67% from the field in the first half is unbelievable. 5 of 7 from 3. The only thing that you can knock is free throws, I guess, only 60%. They actually shot better from the field than they did from the free throw line. Very unusual stat in that regard, but at least Steve Draven has a talking point. Hey, free throws.
But that's about all he's got to complain about here for the first half, because the Pilots are in command today, leading the Leafs 47-21. We're back with second half play-by-play from the Princess City after this on 46. Bethel on top of Goshen, 47-21, as we get ready to start the second half here at Mike Lightfoot Court in the Gates Gymnasium, in the White Camp Center, on the campus of Bethel University. Getting all the prepositional phrases in. Judison Fuqua with the ball outside. That's Marcus Northern. The Goshen guard had 5 in the first half. Leafs were led by Carson Jenkins, their leading scorer on the season. Kevin Cota falls down as he tries to make a move, but James Anderson is called for the foul and says, I really didn't do anything.
Kevin Cota says otherwise. Do you feel my head?
Here's Jenkins, young man out of the Summit City. Now Sim Fuqua, the former Warsaw standout.
I feel like just a slight bump from James Anderson could potentially put you on the DL for 60 days.
Jenkins now with 9. He had a career-high 30 against Spring Arbor earlier this season. Bethel puts its starters back out on the floor to begin the second half. Nathan Ertz, who led the Pilots with 10 points in the first half, short on that shot. And Kevin Cota the rebound. Cota, a young man out of Nogales, Mexico.
You know, we talked at the beginning of the game about, you know, are they able to come out the way they want to, coming out of the loss to Grace. Second half, when you're up by this big of a margin, another learning point here for Steve Draven's squad. Can you come out with that same intensity to start the second half that you need to have to make sure that you do win this game comfortably and don't have a letdown and let Goshen get back in this?
And really a learning experience for Kyle Kapp's team. He has to approach his team in the second half, come out like it's 0-0, and play hard, see if you can win the half here. Not that you get anything for that, but you're down by 26, you got to chisel away at it. And they're doing that with Jared Bonds, the freshman, getting his first basket of the game. The young man who was a member of Carmel's state champion team in 2021 gets his first hoop of the night. Preston Phillips surveys the situation. Oh, nice move by Edwards, and he'll cruise in for 2 more. Grant with 6 today. That's right around his average.
It's interesting that he only has 6 because it's felt like he's done so much more throughout this game. He's just had some high impact plays throughout.
Well, it's one of the reasons he's as respected as anyone on this team, according to Steve Draven, and he's really allowed Drew Lutz to not have to handle things at the point this year and freed Lutz to be more of a number 2 guy, although Lutz will do quite well with the ball in his hands when he has it. Sim Fuqua drops it off for Jenkins, and a nice move to the hoop there. Carson now in double figures with 11, and Steve Draven not exactly enamored with the defense in the first 2.5 minutes of this half for the Pilots. Here's Lutz penetrating, and with the left hand couldn't hit the floater. Northern comes the other way for Goshen.
Lutz 3 of 7 from the field here today.
Jenkins reverse layup, and he was fouled by Edwards. Well, we talked about how quickly things can shift in a Crossroads League game. This was a 26-point game at halftime, and the Leafs are trying to knock that lead down to 20 as Jenkins goes to the stripe for a pair here.
Only a 66% free throw shooter. Makes the first.
Goshen trying to avoid not only its 13th straight loss to Bethel, but their 20th consecutive Crossroads League defeat in a stretch that goes well back.
By the way, I guess that's the announcer jinx as well. As I said, he was only 66% for the free throw line, and he makes both. So.
Phillips drops it off for Anderson. Hello. And Big James has 10.
That's like a freight train. Get out of the way.
Northern. Now Jenkins. Goshen working the perimeter. And Edwards knocks that pass away with 14 on the shot clock.
(51-29) here, Bethel ahead.
Bonds leaves it off. Shot clock ticking down. You see it in the corner. The jumper taken by Jeter Edwards, and it's a shot clock violation.
He got the shot off, but it never hit the rim, so hence the violation.
I'm sorry, I said Edwards. That was Samillan who took the shot, and Isaac Miller will get ready to come back in here for Goshen. Anderson outside for Bethel. Here's Edwards. Got to step on his man and found Lutz in the corner for three. Drew Lutz now with 12 to lead his squad.
His 43rd three-pointer of the season.
Northern tries to answer for Goshen, but was shut off. Jenkins with a good behind-the-back move, and the pull-up from mid-range is off. Phillips had to wait for in midair for the ball to come off the iron.
That rim seems to have the ball hang around it a little longer today.
Lutz with the move, baseline jumper pure. 14 for the pride of Penn High School.
You might have heard me since we're courtside when I said he was only 3 of 7 from the field so far. Hits
Jenkins
his last
step
two.
back. And Lutz, let's see if he's feeling it. Little heat check. No, the drop to Anderson, and that was pretty. $12 for Anderson now. Bethel with its biggest lead. Bonds cuts into it with a nice little southpaw jumper.
Again, that's why James Anderson is such a great player. He has the size. No true Lutz.
He's racking it up now. He's got 17. And the Pilots open up a 30-point cushion.
Scored 8 points in the first 5.5 minutes of this second half.
Bonds topside triple. That's an air ball. And we get a media timeout. 14-19 to go in the ball game. 61-31. Drew Lutz and the Pilots getting some help from James Anderson today. And looking impressive here on 46. For years, whether it was Homer Drew, Mike Lightfoot, now Steve Graven, Bethel has really always been at its height when it's composed of players who are from Michiana. And this team, no different. You got Clay Hilliard out of Plymouth, Drew Lutz from Penn, Nathan Ertz. You can read the list. And that doesn't even include, we saw Andrew Hedrick earlier from West Noble. Silas Kaiser is dressed today. He's from John Glenn. And Alex Ellenson from Northridge. So you really have 8 players on this Bethel roster who come from TV 46 viewing area high schools.
And then you add in 4 more players that from the state of Indiana overall, and just great to see. They'll add to that next year with Peyton Baird from South Bend Riley coming into the program. Peyton here with his mom this afternoon watching the game as well, sitting behind one of the baskets, and he's enjoying the action as well. So it's great to see the local talent staying home and getting not only a great chance to play high-level basketball, but a great education as well at Bethel.
And when you look up in the rafters and you see some of the great names that have played here as Preston Phillips scores there, guys like Jody Martinez, who played at Marion, Rico Swanson, who played at Riley. A couple of Bethel Hall of Famers right there, and of course Mike Lightfoot, he was a LaVille product. James Anderson nearly had it poked away from behind. Jameer Jefferson trying to direct traffic. They want Anderson down on the block because they like the matchup down there. Why wouldn't they? Short on that jumper, but Jefferson fouled by Marcus Northern as he tries to rebound. There you see Peyton Baird.
Enjoying the action here. And a player I think we both feel is going to be a very, very good college player. Very underrated, I feel like. I think people appreciate his game, but he just doesn't seem to get talked about enough in terms of the way he plays. But he's been fantastic for Riley, and he just has so much skill that I think it's really going to grow at Bethel over the next 4 years.
Riley played in a couple of tournaments downstate, and it really got him some exposure to other people down there. And when he played well against the caliber of competition that they saw in some of those tournaments, I think it opened some eyes of some people downstate. Not saying that it's going to make Peyton Baird an all-state player or anything like that, but he's certainly one of the top players in the Northern Indiana Conference this year, and that's saying something because the NIC, as usual, has some very good talent. Carson Jenkins blocked by James Anderson. Here comes McBride the other way for Bethel. Nice head and shoulders fake by Hilliard. Lutz for 3. Not that time. Northern comes away.
By the way, we talk about all the Indiana guys on Bethel. When one of the 4 that isn't from Indiana is James Anderson, those are the ones you want from outside the state.
Hilliard with a quick trigger, but it wouldn't go. And Northern again on the run. Oh, a nice pass from Jared Bonds to Carson Jenkins. Jenkins now with 15 in this one. You can see why Jenkins is such a formidable offensive player for Goshen. You can understand why Anderson is a problem for the Leafs and a lot of other teams in the league, as the big fella will go to the line for the old-fashioned three-point play.
Take a look at the replay. The shot, size, the athleticism, and the finish.
James Anderson, if he wants a break, he's got to hit this free throw. One of the reasons, though, James Anderson is able to go up and down the floor is he does a lot of things to avoid cramping, and one of them is he drinks pickle juice before every game. Not sure if it's sweet or dill, but he's coming out with 15 right now. And Ike Ume will check back in for Bethel.
Maybe you could have some on the sideline right now.
Little jar of Vlasic. Never hurt anybody. Any of your soccer playing relatives do that?
I'm sure. We can't delve into the DiCarlo.
The secrets of the DiCarlo family.
That's dangerous territory right there.
That's for sure. Here's Lutz with the pull-up. That wouldn't go, but Jefferson skied for the rebound, then lost the handle out of bounds. Jameer with 5 points off the bench today, the freshman from Memphis. Goshen shuttling people in and out. Marcus Northern coming out. Jeter Edwards will check in. He's a 6'1" freshman out of Greensburg, Indiana. Bryant now handling things at the point for the Leafs. Jenkins, the baseline drive, and he was pushed from behind by Jefferson. That's the second foul on Jameer tonight. His second, team Jenkins, no, illegal screen on Kevin. Oh, they're going to call it on Jameer Jefferson coming through the screen, and that's his third. And Steve Draben telling Jameer that's not a moving screen. It wasn't. Kevin Cota had position there. There's the moving screen.
Well, you just queued it up, you know?
That one was on Isaac Miller, not Kevin Cota. So Lutz will walk it up the stripe with those brilliant orange shoes. I know the crew was happy to see those today because, quite frankly, it made him easy to pick out during warm-ups as McBride is short on the three. Miller will come the other way. Goshen trying to avoid its third straight loss by 30 points or more. It has been a rough season for Kyle Kapp's squad, and Drew Lutz is not taking it easy on him. He's got 19.
Acceleration from Drew Lutz when he gets in the paint and goes to the basket.
Nice feed here by Bryant to Cota, and the big fella gets his second basket of the night. 6'6" freshman came in averaging 5.5 points per game. Ume setting a screen for Lutz. And the rise and fire by Drew, who now has 21.
Crazy part is he's still 5 points off his season average.
Yeah, the crazy part is there's still 10 minutes left to go in the game. Carson Jenkins up strong and got the bucket of the bump over Ume. Tell you what, I like this sophomore from Goshen, Jenkins. The bespectacled one showing that he can go inside or out as he got aggressive here for the rebound and challenged Big Ike Ume, the 6'6" grad student.
Drew Lutz coming out of the game now.
The question is he just getting a breather or is he done for the day? With a 32-point lead, he could well be done for the day.
Hence why I was saying he was 5 points away from his average.
18 points now for Carson Jenkins. Oh, what a move by Hilliard. Couldn't finish, but gets his own rebound. This time he'll put it in. Hilliard now with 8 today. The grad student averaging 11 per game. Good defense there by Ume, and here come the Pilots the other way. Hedrick, the point guard of the future perhaps. Hilliard, little shoulder fake, and he draws the foul. You got Jenkins up in the air that time, and Carson commits the violation as you get another look here on the Pilot replay. A timeout on the floor, 9:34 to go in this one. Bethel in command as they have been for a while. They're up 33 on 46. There is more Bethel Pilot basketball for you next weekend on TV 46, and a very big challenge for the Pilots as Greg Tonigal brings his Indiana Wesleyan Wildcats in to take on Bethel right here at the Y Camp Center. We're back with you 1 week from tonight, 9 o'clock tip-off on TV 46. You're talking about a Wesleyan team that is one of the top ones, not only in the Crossroads League, but they're ranked number 5 in the nation coming in. And talking to Steve Draben briefly about them before today's game, he said offensively they're as good as anybody in the country.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be a great matchup. Bethel, you see there, ranked 23rd on the scoreboard. So top 25 showdown, an opportunity to face another tough team. Again, you saw you were capable of beating anyone in your performance, the way they played against Grace, but now another tough challenge. You go from facing one top 5 team in the country to another within a span of 10 days or so. So that should be a fun one next Saturday here at YCamp.
Hilliard enjoys his time at the line, where he's an 86% free throw shooter. He's in double figures now with 10. That's his 7th game in double figures this season. Bryant thought about trying the baseline. Instead, he'll penetrate into the lane and kick it outside. Shot clock dwindling down. Bonds will try to go to work on Phillips. Fadeaway is well off the mark, and that's a shot clock violation, the second one for the Leafs today.
Which shows the defense there as well by Bethel. Something we've talked about, the way they can score, right, Chuck? But it's a defensive-minded squad as well, and if you're going to win the big games, you got to have good defense. And with the size that they have, that helps to be able to really be a difficult matchup for many teams.
Hilliard topside triple is off the mark, but Preston Phillips gets the rebound. And Hilliard from much closer couldn't hit that one either. Bonds on the block, trying to go to work on Ume. Spins and airballs. Kyle Capps watching as his team gets a steal right here. Max Smoker got the pilfer, but then it comes right back to Bethel. Hilliard tried to hit the cutting Ertz. Instead, it's stolen by Bryant. Then he's fouled from behind by Hilliard. A little sloppy in that sequence for both teams.
Well, see Draven starting to walk down, starting to talk to some of his players, pointing out some of the things he doesn't like what he's seeing on the floor and saying, hey, here are the things we got to do as a team better. It's Hilliard now coming out of the game and now relaying that same message now to Clay Hilliard.
Meanwhile, Bryant, a 62% free throw shooter. His mom is his hero. She is a 2-time cancer survivor and a true inspiration to him and a lot of people within the Goshen program. Nathan Ertz on the outside, down low to Preston Phillips, and he gave it back to Ertz, but they couldn't convert. Now Jenkins breezes by Hedrick and goes in for the bucket of the bump.
Wow. What a play by Carson Jenkins. Take a look at this replay. As he goes in, kind of lost the handle for a second, but so quick to recover that live. I almost thought that was an intentional dribble. I think he briefly lost the handle, and then thankfully it looks like he's okay after coming down hard on the floor.
And Bethel will go to its bench, and Luke McBride will come back in. Jenkins looking for his 21st point of the afternoon and got it.
He now leads all scores.
He has nearly half the Leafs' points in this one. Trent Edwards will bring it up for Bethel. Here's Hedrick on the outside. Edwards trying to drive on Jenkins, found Preston Phillips for 2. Good penetration that time by Bethel, especially from the wing. That's an area of improvement in Trent Edwards' game this year. Ume with the steal. Hedrick was trying to play a little screen and roll with Phillips, but it was covered up well by Goshen. And now a whistle and a foul as Phillips is guilty of the push-off.
Preston shook his head like, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
I did. That's all right. It's amazing the things you're willing to admit when you're up by 34.
It's a lot easier to admit it when you're up by 34. Three-point game, not so much.
No way he's admitting that.
Thrown away by Isaac Miller, and Bethel will get it back. Turnovers have been a problem for a young Goshen team. That's to be expected as guys are learning the college game, and you're going up against, as Angelo mentioned earlier, some really good talent in this league. McBride for three is short. Here come the Leafs the other way. Jenkins has been the one guy really worth watching for Goshen today. Miller's three is way off the mark. Here comes Hedrick for Bethel. Hedrick finds Ike Ume with the layup, but it's short. Jefferson puts in the rebound. Shamir now with 7. That ties his season high.
Into the stands goes Hedrick.
And Ume just coming down for a walk in the park gets the lay-in. His first basket, and a timeout taken by Goshen. We'll take it as well. 5:37 to go. And Bethel is steamrolling Goshen 83-43 on 46. If you just haven't had enough college basketball, we have more for you on Pulse FM tomorrow. Purdue has to go to Piscataway, New Jersey. That has not been a friendly place for the Boilermakers over the years. And Matt Painter's second-ranked Boilermakers will have their hands full with Rutgers. I guarantee you that. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll have it for you at 1. Rob Blackman with the call on 103.1 FM.
There's never joy in going to Rutgers.
No, I was there many times for baseball trips, and it was not fun. The most memorable one, not that anybody cares, but I'll share the story anyway, because this 38-point ball game right now is a Mother's Day game at Rutgers. So you're hoping to get home to see your wife before midnight on Mother's Day, and it went 15 innings.
That's nice. Did Notre Dame at least win?
No.
Adding insult to injury.
And Fred Hill was the baseball coach at Rutgers, and his wife would pound a pipe with a rock next to the broadcast position the entire game.
Well, she had a good Mother's Day, though.
Yeah, she did. That's one of us. 23 points for Carson Jenkins now. Silas Kaiser has checked into the game for Bethel. He wears number 1. The pride of John Glenn High School. Whistle underneath and a foul. I think this one might be on. And it's going to go on Micah Spat, who checked into the game for Goshen. Spat, a senior out of LaPorte, Indiana.
Silas Kaiser, a great player at Glenn High School. Had them #1 team in the state 2 years ago before they lost to Marion in the sectional final. And then that Marion team, of course, went to the state final, but either one of those two, and Glenn was able to still make a run a year later, but it was just an outstanding point guard for Glenn and Travis Hanna. Travis Hanna actually would go out of his way to point out, he's our guy this year, not my son. It's Silas. We go like Silas goes. And
Jared Bond's having a strong second half here for Goshen. He's come up with 9 points here in the second half. 6'7" freshman was only averaging 6 a game, so he's helping his cause today. There's Kaiser. Fairly young lineup on the floor right now for Steve Draven as Luke McBride, the freshman, is able to hit. He has 5 today. McBride, a math major here at Bethel. And a kick is called on Andrew Hedrick.
Two-time All-State player out of Norwell.
And there's a timeout on the floor, but we'll keep it here with 4:17 to go. So let's talk a little bit about this Crossroads League race the rest of the way. obviously nobody has touched Grace so far. They are undefeated on the year. But they have to go to Marion, Indiana, and Indiana Wesleyan on Wednesday night. And you know Greg Tonical is going to just be waiting for them.
Yeah, I mean, that isn't anybody's game matchup, right? Whenever you're going to have 2 top 5 teams going at it, that's anybody's ball game. And then when Grace has to host Bethel down the road here at the end of the regular season, that's going to be anyone's ball game. So it's just the strength of the Crossroads League. It's always been a very good league in the NAIA, and I think this is one of its probably best years. When you have 3 top 25 teams, that's a great year.
Well, we hear all the time at the D1 level about the impact of the transfer portal. Well, the transfer portal has trickled down here to the NAIA level too, because you have guys like Lutz, who played at Incarnate Word, and guys like Zach Goodwine from Huntington, who played at Oakland University. These are guys that started their careers at the D1 level. They've now come to the NAIA level. But because of the exposure they have had and the kind of talent that they played against, they really elevate this league somewhat.
Absolutely, and Preston Phillips, another one of those, right?
Yeah.
So you see that, and it's great. And that's another one of those reasons why I say, if you've never been to a Bethel basketball game, come out, especially, you got young kids. Get one of these Saturday afternoon games that start at 3 o'clock. It's a perfect time to come out, bring the kids, and enjoy some basketball here at the Y Camp Center.
No, this joint's going to be jumping next Saturday. Absolutely. For that game with Iowa.
That one you might have to get here a little early to find a seat.
But if you're coming, come for the Bethel women's game. Absolutely. Against Indiana Wesleyan. That's one of the top women's teams in all of NAIA, and they have a local girl by the name of Lillian Frazier from North Judson that plays for Indiana Wesleyan.
Is she at like 5,000 career points now?
It would seem that way. Struggle for the loose ball on the floor, and on the alternating possession, it will go to the Pilots. No, suffice to say, even though the number of games left in the Crossroads League season is dwindling, the race is still highly competitive.
Well, and that's also not taking into account some of the teams below that threshold line that still have the talent to pull off an upset here or there.
Ike Ume with the bucket and the bump. He's fouled by Micah Spat. You get another look on the Pilot replay. Spat may want to reconsider his defensive approach on that one. Goshen will have Deacon Hill, a young man out of Goshen High School, checking into the game now. He wears number 21 for the Leafs. As you see, Ume at a 50% foul shooter missed that one. But a steal by Bethel. Silas Kaiser with the right hand off the mark. And here come Jared Bonds and the Leafs. Jefferson with the steal. Jefferson! Hello.
Did I tell you you should come out to a Bethel game and see some great athleticism? Hello.
Hey, Micah Spat at the other end with the bucket. The young man from LaPorte getting on the board for the first time today. That's only his 3rd field goal of the season.
Those were 2 outstanding possessions for Jameer Jefferson. Got the steal on the first one. They didn't get the bucket, but he waited. He knew he had a 2-on-3 and didn't want to force it despite getting the steal. They don't make the bucket. Then he gets the steal and the emphatic slam, to say the least.
Jefferson with 11 today, and he's not stopping. He knocks that ball out of bounds. And take another look on the Pilot replay, because Jameer's going to want this one for his highlight reel for life.
He flexed the wrong way, though. That was his problem.
Know where the camera is.
Yeah, you got to know where. Camera placement there, Jameer. You got to turn the other way.
Maybe next Saturday. Here's Smoker for 3. Max Smoker, the 6'7" freshman out of Burnsville, North Carolina, with his 11th three-pointer of the season. And 2 minutes to go in this one. The Pilots have been in command since a big spurt midway through the first half. Jefferson, though, he's feeling it. It's like it's career day for me, man. I'm coming out here and lighting it up.
I mean, he's like, we're on TV. I'm playing.
Jameer with a season-high 11 points today. Mentioned earlier, he's a transfer from Trinity International, a young man from Memphis, Tennessee, but couldn't get that one to go. Marcus Northern working his way through to the hoop. Ben Northern with his first basket of the second half. The freshman with 7 today. Bethel on its way to its 16th win of the season. Steve Draben's team with an outstanding record of 16-4 now and 7-3 in the Crossroads League. You're winning 80% of your games. You're doing something right. McBride with the high arching jumper for 2. That was pretty.
See the depth of this squad.
No, they've had some nice games off the bench today, haven't they?
And the future, right? A lot of the guys that you'll see here in the years to come.
And granted, the bench probably getting a little more playing time today with the size of the lead. As Smoker hits another 3. Man, he's living up to his name. But 32 points off the bench today for the Bethel Pilots. See if they can get Kaiser a bucket here. Short on the foul line jumper, and boy, the Bethel students wanted that one for Silas.
So did the Bethel bench.
Northern with the stop and go, but couldn't get it to go. See if they get Silas one more possession here, although the shot clock and game clock pretty much synced up, so Steve Draben says that's enough. And the Bethel Pilots will count down the seconds here to their 16th win of the season, their 7th in the Crossroads League. The crowd showing its appreciation here at the Y-Camp Center. Shot clock will expire shortly before the game clock does, but Kyle Capps and Steve Draben shaking hands at midcourt. It's a 91-58 Bethel victory. Goshen will just inbound, and it's a fait accompli. The Pilots get the victory today by a final score of 91-58. We'll wrap it up from Mishawaka after this on 46. Easy one for the Bethel Pilots tonight at the Y-Camp Center as they knock off the winless Goshen Maple Leafs by a count of 91-58. In fact, 58 was kind of the magic number for the Pilots in this one as Chuck and Anj join you courtside. They not only gave up 58 points, they shot 58% from the field overall. They shot 58% from three-point range, and they shot 58% from the foul line as well.
And the 58% from the foul line will be the thing that they are probably talked to about and have to work on in practice coming up. But overall, great effort. Drew Lutz leading the way with 21 points. I thought James Anderson was fantastic with 15. 5 different players get to double figures. 9 different guys get into the scorebook in terms of scoring. So overall, you got into that depth, got the younger guys an opportunity to play and score, and that really gears you up. You get your bounce-back victory after the loss to Grace. You get victory number 16. A lot of positives to take out of this victory here for Steve Draben's squad.
And now you've got a very difficult week coming up.
Absolutely.
You got to go to Huntington on Wednesday night. They're no pushover. They're tied with Bethel for 3rd place in the Crossroads League. And if you survive that one, you come back next Saturday night here on TV 46 and you take on the 5th-ranked team in NAIA. That's Indiana Wesleyan.
Yeah, that's going to be an exciting one here. I can't wait for that contest next Saturday. We hope that you can be here in person to see it, and if not, obviously watch it on TV 46. But it's going to be a blast to watch, a top 25 showdown here at Y-Camp. I know it was an electric atmosphere for the top 25 matchup earlier in the week, and it will be again next week as well.
So the Pilots now 16-4 as they win this one by a count of 91-58. Our thanks to our TV46 crew who helped bring you this one, the bubbly one, Tony Beltran, running the show in the truck today with help from Josh Kellogg pushing all the buttons. A reminder that we have high school basketball for you next Friday night on TV46, as we'll be at the Northridge Girls Basketball Sectional. The semifinals there will have either Northridge or Warsaw, who play Tuesday night, taking on the Elkhart Lions. We'll have a live stream for you from Middlebury Friday night at 6 and show it on TV46 Friday night at 11, Saturday morning at 9, and then next Saturday night, more Pilot basketball when Bethel takes on Indiana Wesleyan. We'll show it to you on TV46 at 9 p.m. For my partner Angelo DiCarlo, Chuck Freebie, once again the final, Bethel 91, Goshen 58. So long from the Princess City.